Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the final week of the regular season PBHS Week 18. I'm Rashab. I'm joined by Mr. Woodward, Mr. Ellis, and On God. It's been a crazy week 17. A lot of good games going on and huge playoff implications for this week regarding many of our teams. Starting off with my Ravens, the Ravens dropped their fifth straight game. This game ran up my heart rate to say the least. It was an enjoyable game seeing these two teams duke it out. Safety Chuck Clark played in an absolutely phenomenal game in his two interception game and one that he had returned for a pick six, and he read Stafford like a book and housed it. He only had three interceptions in his 77 career games, and he had two this game. So he's definitely a stud for sure. Tyler Huntley played pretty good despite throwing the interception. He's making some good quick decisions and passes. Mark Andrews continues to make his case for first team All Pro for the tight end position, and he's been on a different caliber this season. That he's the new owner of the single season franchise receiving record, and he's only like 140 yards away from like the all-time record. I have to take note of this pass rush playing well, specifically Ty's Bowser forcing a fumble on the Rams' first possession of the second half. Now, the pass protection of this game for the Ravens was horrid in many instances of the game. The Rams getting a Huntley five times, but that's expected when you're going against Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and that daunting Rams defensive line. Penalties killed us. Alejandro Villanueva had a crucial false start that on our drive that we recovered the fumble in, we could have put the game easily, and that resulted in a three and out. Failing to finish in the red zone really hurt this team, and settling for field goals wasn't enough to keep this Rams offense from not coming back.
For the Washington football team, it was another week of disappointment. Injuries keep catching up on us, catching up to us on both sides of the ball. Our defense is injury after injury. I'm not sure if you guys saw it this week, but Montez Sweat is confirmed out for the Giants game. But last week, the loss of Cole Holcomb was horrible. He's our quarterback on defense, and it just as soon as we patch one hole, another pops up. It's a sinking ship for this season. The riverboat is going down right now. Hopefully, Riverboat Ron can patch things up, come back next season. Quarterback is the only thing on my mind now for this offseason.
Patch it up, baby boy. I hope the Pittsburgh Steelers rip all the Band-Aids off next year and just say, okay, let's start over. Either go after a big name quarterback or you don't. But either way, Sunday is going to be the last game for Big Ben. I certainly remember those initial snaps at M&T Bank Stadium. Second quarter, already down for 21-7, I believe, at that time, or 28-7 maybe even. And Ben fought us back in that game. And even though we didn't win, it was like, oh, this looks interesting. And we were excited from day one about Ben. I know my brother and I, my cousins, a bunch of my family, we have been following Ben a little bit, towards the end of that season, because knowing we were going to be having a high draft pick, we kind of paid attention a little bit. I'm not saying I sat there and watched tons of Miami Ohio games, but he was on our radar. We were excited about him, and he looked like a kind of guy that we wanted. So went after the man, and needless to say, it was a great choice. Ask Cleveland how they feel about their choice of Kellen Winslow Jr. Gotta love that, and I know for Ben it felt great to rub that in their faces.
Did Kellen Winslow Jr. get drafted before Ben?
Sure did.
Who did they have as a quarterback in Cleveland?
Tim Couch, baby, come on.
Oh, the number one overall pick the couple of years beforehand. Oh my God, that's terrible.
And actually, I believe Kelly Heathcliff Slocum Holcomb was the guy as well. So they had a duel.
God, well, as the only guy on here right now who has a sunny disposition because his team is going to the playoffs. And so I did not enjoy that 1 year hiatus. I've become selfish as a Patriots fan. I want to be in. That's right, that violence playing. I want to be in the playoffs because I want to see what this team has to do. Last year, was rough. It was a tough way to go out. I didn't like watching Tom Brady's last pass being a Logan Ryan pick six. But if anybody had to do it, really wasn't so bad. It was Logan Ryan in the long run because he had won lots of games for Tom Brady by making big picks at key times as well. So not to get too far off track, but this week I hope to, as you can see, squish the fish, take the Dolphins down because I hate the Dolphins. And I'm looking for a tough matchup in Miami, like what the Pats did last week. Last week they put up 50 on the what do you call it, the NFL development team program squad down in Jacksonville. So that's something that I was glad to see because they basically needed a scrimmage to get themselves back on track again, and that they did. So let's see if they can carry it forward up to down to Miami, and then the next week, most likely up in Buffalo. So we'll see what's going on. We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens for sure. All right, moving on to our first game of the week. We got the Ravens and Steelers, and what is technically what could very well be Ben Roethlisberger's final game in the NFL, and how fitting it ends on the road in M&T Bank Stadium against the Baltimore Ravens. You know, it's I thought, it's all love for Ben Roethlisberger, but when you come to Baltimore, there's no love lost. You're still coming to Baltimore. You're still coming here to play the Ravens, blue collar football, one of the greatest rivalries in the NFL. But this game, other than being like one of like a rivalry game, it's still a big game for both teams because it's a must win. If the Jags are able to pull off the upset against the Colts, the Ravens could easily get into the playoffs with the other teams that they need to win to like that would have a high probability of winning. But with Lamar Jackson being out, Tyler Huntley is slated for another start. And after Ben Roethlisberger, he had a good game against the Browns last week. I think it was a very emotional win, but I don't think he carries over that into that game. Our main concern has to be Najee Harris after he completely tore up that Cleveland defense. But I think with the Ravens having the #1 ranked run defense, I don't think we got to worry that much about Najee. Give me the Ravens 17-10, and which was Big Ben's last game. Send him out sad.
I feel like this is a dead game. Rashad believes there's playoff implications. I don't think it is. Colts are going to crush the Jags. This is going to be a storybook ending for Ben Roethlisberger. Nothing but just good emotions here. There's nothing up for grabs right now. Just a good send off for Ben Roethlisberger. I think the Steelers are going to play their hearts out for Ben Roethlisberger. The Ravens, I feel like their season's a lost cause. I think Lamar is coming back, but I don't know why he is. The season's dead, in my opinion.
He's ruled out.
Okay, so even more confirmation. Steelers, I feel like they're just going to run this game. This is all lined up for a good farewell to Ben Roethlisberger and what has been a great career for him. I feel like the young guns are going to ball out like Pat Fairmouth and Najee Harris. They're going to carry the Steelers to a good win here. Give me the Steelers winning this one, 31-20.
How's 5 straight sound, Rashad? I don't know that there's ever been 5 straight wins in the series.
Yeah, I mean,
in the history of the series, I'm pretty confident there's not been 5 straight wins by either team. There's been 4 straight by both, 4 by us this time, and then in 2008 into 9. But also you guys had 4 straight, I believe, 2011 into 12. Yeah, this is a weird game, guys. I mean, this game, I wish it meant something so much. Nothing I wanted to do more than be at this game. There'd be no Rona, and with friends, all the crews. Like I had this great vision of bringing like 12 of us to this game, and like just it'd be epic afternoon. So many great games I've seen in that stadium with Ben Roethlisberger, including 2008, the San Antonio Holmes game, where luckily I escaped with my life. Wasn't the only time there, but it was one of them. 2002, the Tommy Maddox explosion game with Plexico Burress, the end of the season Sunday night game. We ran into Joe Theismann in the bathroom in the club level. So many great things, but for me, Ben Roethlisberger surprising my great aunt Lizzie on her 90th birthday in her 50th year as the cafeteria manager in her elementary school in Hummelstown, PA. I'm not going to speak on Ben's character. I don't have good things to say, but I'll give him a lot of credit for that day and many others. And hey, man, everyone in life has to get redemption. But at the end of the day, Ben Roethlisberger has been a great quarterback for Pittsburgh Steelers. Speak nothing of his personal life, which I won't. But simply to say that Ben Roethlisberger has been a great quarterback for Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank God for him. 2 Super Bowls, should have been 3, maybe 4 or 5 if you look back at Spygate taste, but more likely is the 2 is what they were supposed to be. Lucky to win in 28, unlucky to lose in 2010. It's sports karma. And I think it comes again here. I like the Steelers to win this game. It's going to be real ugly, but I think we'll win it. And Terrell Suggs, man, nothing I want to see more too than see him get retired, because even though I'm not a Ravens fan, I got incredible respect for that guy, man. I love him as a player. He was one of my favorite football players ever. Love that guy and the way he played the game, and I'd love to be there to watch him be honored too. But it ain't in the car. It's going to be a rainy, nasty day, perfect for Steelers Ravens. I think the Steelers are going to steal this game 2017.
Well, they hate us because they ain't us, Mr. Ellis. I hear you. I hear you knocking out there. But you know, little side note, I used to work at Joe Theismann's restaurant in Alexandria, Virginia back in the day.
Oh man, I love the chicken parm at the BWI area location.
Oh man, that place was the best. Free shift meal every single time and 25-30% off every time you came in. Let's safe to say I ate a lot there. You know, I think this one is, you know, Big Ben's been getting the praise for the last couple of weeks that everybody's talking about that last game last week in Pittsburgh. And if he's got to have a final game in his career potentially, and I know that there's potential for playoffs here, right? Still, I believe. And on either squad, I just like the idea that a tie team could get in, you know, so to have somebody with that extra number at the end is interesting if they ever made the playoffs or God forbid win a Super Bowl and have a season where they were 12, 7 and 1, just a crazy number in the NFL. But if he has to finish his career in another stadium, this seems like the one that it should be, because this is the one where we've been so many epic games. As Rashab's picture points out back there, it's been a place of doom and gloom, but also a place where they've had some big wins. So I am sorry that you can't be there for that big weekend, epic weekend with all your people. I know hopefully we'll have that opportunity again. And this, though, will not be an opportunity this will be the last opportunity to see Big Ben there. So I think it could be a factor. I agree with what Angad said. I'm not sure he's going to ball out. I predicted that last week. And the problem is he can't really ball out anymore. He's just, you know, the pride element of it, the excitement of playing for him in his potentially most likely final game as a Steeler. But he doesn't have what it takes to carry him anymore. But fortunately, as has been said already, Najee Harris does.
Give the ball to Notch.
Give the ball to Najee. You know, I read a statistic the other day. It said, I think he has over 300 some odd touches without a fumble.
If I could just say one more quick thing, and that's that, you know, I think the transfer of power came in that last touchdown on Sunday night or Monday night, where Norwich, you know, took over the game basically on the last drive.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. They knew it was coming.
I really mentioned because, you know, I don't want to talk this much about that. You know, I mean, I really wanted to make sure I shined on Tutu because he's the face of this franchise. What I know he does in the city from knowing, you know, family members, things that live there, and seeing him out in public all the time around kids, around kids that he can impact. This guy's everywhere. And, you know, Ben was never the face of the franchise that he should have been, as great as he was on the field. Not just going to be both.
Great player. And so, you know, we talked all year on the show how that mantle is kind of passing, and no more so than it will be this week as it was last week, because they're going to need him to run the ball because it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be messy. I can't remember when this last game was ever BOC, Blowout City, and I don't think this one will ever be scratching that. This is going to be ugly, muddy, and, you know, it's great football because it's Ravens Steelers. Sunny, snowy, wet, doesn't matter. Steelers, Ravens, going to continue to be great football in the years to come as well. But for this one, I think the Steelers are coming in. So sorry, Rashab, I don't think that picture is going to play. In the end, he might go down a few times, but I think they're going to walk away. Big Ben's last game, no playoffs. 17, Steelers 17, Ravens 13.
We'll see, man. We'll hope that, you know, the bank is loud enough. You know, we're rocking the black jersey, so that's how you know we're treating this game like it's the most important game of the year.
We should be doing the over/under on fights because there will be some Steeler fans because of the Big Ben factor. Now, and you know, the early years where I would go to games, it was 50-50, man. Especially like that 08 game, which was absolutely wild. Was literally it was a war zone. After the game, it was a war zone. Like we escaped with our lives. It was because it was both teams. I mean, it was the Montagues and Capulet kind of thing. But it's not like that anymore, and certainly not Sunday is it going to be like that. So it's going to
for sure.
Oh, we blew it, guys. In all three of our teams that are sitting on the couch here, as we always said in the years past of this show, sitting on the couch.
Sitting at the playoff.
Yeah. Hey, man. For our next game of the week, we got the Washington football team versus the Giants. You know, I would say this was a disappointing season for both Washington football team and Giants. You know, Giants obviously going out and signing a lot of people during the offseason, Saquon Barkley making his return, but, you know, we weren't, you know, we weren't really like expecting like a lot, but like we were so disappointed in the fact that like, Kenny Galladay, who signed like a $70 million contract, like didn't really do much for this team. Kadarius Toney obviously being out for injuries, and Saquon Barkley still not, coming back to his original self. But I think that's like, the problem with the Giants, just not using him right, and just, stuff like that. But for the Washington football team, I think they have a chance to blow this team out easily. I think that like they want to go out with a bang. They get Antonio Gibson back, and I think just Washington will just run it up on them. Give me the Washington football team 27-13.
This season has been up and down. Obviously, we came in with a lot of hope, and we were met with a lot of disappointment. But then again, it was on both sides. There's many things: players, injuries, COVID, and every time you'd flip, like if you flipped a coin for Washington, heads good, tails bad, we'd constantly end up with tails. It just nothing ever worked out our way. We had a few good stretches like that 4-win streak. Of course, I'm happy we won those games because it built some. It showed the culture we're building here. We're dogs. We want to fight under Rivera. That's what we want. And now, after that 4 weeks, we were struggling. We all saw that. We're on a five. I think we're 5 games losing streak right now, and we're back in the top 10 of the draft. So a lot of this stuff is just looking towards the future and next season and building. This game is going to be a good indicator because, as I noted, Phil Holcomb was out, so we need to find a new person on defense to be that quarterback when he's out and if in the future. I think that role can land in Jamin Davis' hands. And yeah, this is the time for backups to show who they can be. We have a lot of studs on the defense side of the ball that need to show out, and this should be the game for that. But yeah, just looking for the future. Hopefully, we get Kenny Pickett. I don't want Matt Crowley anymore. Too many ankle injuries. Can't having a quarterback get hurt. Tired of that in Washington. But we got to end the season on a high note. We need to get Terry McLaurin to 1,000 yards. We need to get Antonio Gibson 1,000 rushing yards. So give me Washington win this game, 31-17.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think this game comes down when you have these games that are meaningless, like this Ravens Steelers game is meaningless. By the way, my final score going to be 30-zip Colts over the Yags. But in this case, yeah, look, Washington is the better coach team. There's more belief, I think, in that locker room. And while they haven't had their best game in best last 3 or 4 games due to injuries and lots of other things, and obviously the quarterback situation is in peril, but I expect Washington out big in this game. And this Joe Judge guy's a joke, fellas. I mean, come on. And you got the Maras coming out. They're absolutely clueless sitting here talking about how this guy's going to be get out of here. And, they said, oh, yes, they said that about Belichick too. No. Washington football team, 44. The New York Giants, settle. B-O-C.
Say it with me. Wow. That I completely can see where that's coming from. Because last year, I remember, I think Washington lost this game. They lost their last game against the Giants badly. And Daniel Jones played really well. He's been frustrating for Giant fans because he's shown little flashes, but he's injury prone, just like Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. Another guy with some skill, but definitely injury prone. But this is probably going to be Taylor Heineke's last game as the Washington football team starter. And, he's really proven to be sort of a one-hit wonder. I think a lot of people, based on last year, even though they won the division at 7-9, people picked Washington. I think we talked about it, and we were picking Washington to win the division. Who knew what the numbers were going to be? Cowboys are like this now, so the division could go back that same way next year with a different guy under center, because Heineke, as much as I love the way he plays and I love how he leaves everything out on the field, and he will definitely this week. He's going to ball out this week. He's going to put everything he has into it because he wants to win, no doubt about it. The kid definitely comes to play. You just got to stop making the stupid mistakes. I mean, you cannot squeeze balls into spaces when you're him. Some guys can do that, but most guys can't. The vast majority of guys can't. And Terry McLaurin makes him look good. Some of the other, they had a good tight end last week. I can't remember his name. It's escaping me, but they had a guy he was a rookie this year who played pretty well for him. And so that's been something, as you can see, with the Ravens with Mark Andrews having that solid tight end. And if they have him next year in addition to Logan Thomas, that could be big. So Washington's playing with a lot more to look forward to than I think the Giants are. They're a joke. And for this one, really, what can we say? Mike Glennon is their quarterback. I mean, talk about a game you don't want to watch. I mean, the only thing Mike Glennon has going for him, the only thing that I find interesting about Mike Glennon is he's the guy that basically forced Russell Wilson out of North Carolina State to go to Wisconsin. And in the 1 year at Wisconsin, Russ takes them to the Rose Bowl, which, by the way, little side note, where we're going to see Russ next year. I know somebody on the screen with me who would like to see him there. But for me, really, the only outcome I care about for Washington right now is 2-22, baby. So give me the Admirals 30, Giants 13.
The Admirals. That's interesting. That's interesting. I was
That's the word on the street.
Admiral.
And that's gonna be the richest Arena League football team that exists. They're gonna have TO, AB. They're just gonna line up all the I mean, that's going to be very. Pac-Man's going to go out there and play corner for them. And
Yeah,
Pac-Man
they're going to be able to pay these guys. Buku Dolores, man.
Pac-Man. Oh, buddy.
Did you make it right?
That's right. This like 2015, right? Some Arena League team from like 2015, like a AA Arena team owns that patent, I think.
Yeah.
That they're trying to buy. So if I'm them, I'm loading up the all-star. It's gonna be like the slap shot of indoor football, loading up all the old goons and having this awesome game. Burfict can probably play for next to nothing. You can load it up.
And Taylor Heineke may be the quarterback for that squad.
Yeah, because this is definitely his last NFL game, right, guys? I mean, he never plays the NFL again, right? I mean, no chance.
I wouldn't say like in the NFL, but probably as like a starter, maybe.
I mean, he's going to be like fourth stringer. He's going to be fourth stringer in Jacksonville or something.
It's going to be tough for him to make a football team. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Especially if he doesn't want to, especially if he's a smart guy like Aaron Rodgers, but smart guys like Aaron Rodgers are really, really good. So they get around and are allowed to be smart guys, but him, no.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, I just got a notification saying it's like a rumor saying Aaron Rodgers may threaten to boycott the Super Bowl over the NFL's current COVID protocols. So there's that.
He's not going to the Super Bowl. You're not going to be there, Aaron. You're not going to be there, Rodgers. Sorry, you're not going to be there, jerk. You're not going to be there. Your one Super Bowl we handed to you on a silver platter. You're not going to be there.
Right. We'll see, man. NFC Championship game. Can they get out of that loop of just losing?
How's that special teams looking? Terrible.
Terrible.
How many teams have won Super Bowls with bad special teams? How many?
Zero. Anyways, moving on to our next game, we got Mr. Woodward's Patriots versus versus Miami Dolphins, and which is kind of a big game seeding wise for the Patriots. I mean, Dolphins, they've honestly bounced back like harder than any team this season, winning, I believe it was 7 straight games, I think so. But they ever since like they were on that winning streak, they've been absolutely beating good teams. But the Patriots, however, they surprised many people this game. Many people weren't expecting Mac Jones to play at this good of a level, and I honestly thought that like Mac Jones wasn't going to be the guy. But what do you know? He's obviously balling out in Bill Belichick's system. But I think the Patriots have to take this game seriously. If they lose this game, they can possibly fall to the 7th seed in the AFC, which I don't think they want. But I think Patriots, Bill Belichick, I think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's gonna find a way to win this game easily. I don't think he would try to fall or just pull something that would just make them lose. But I would take the Patriots in this one. It'll be a close game, but give me the Patriots 20, Dolphins 17.
Say this about New England, and I obviously, since knowing Mr. Wood, I mean, I've always paid close attention to him, but since knowing Mr. Wood, the great Faison Khan from our show in previous years, I've paid more attention as I've gotten to know them, to inform our conversations and such. And I'll say the last 2 games for New England, and again, I didn't watch much of the Jacksonville game. I watched the all 22, 14-minute version, but I mean, that game isn't even something you could talk about as commentary. But the Buffalo game was disturbing to me because they had opportunities. They couldn't push the ball downfield consistently. They're just missing that one more stretch the fielder that can open it up for Mac a little bit, because I don't think it's a question of him being able to run the offense, but I do think that he's hit a little bit of a wall here, as Ben did even in 2004, where Ben started doing it in the Giants game, like 4 games left in the season, started kind of pushing the ball a little bit, kind of like when you're bowling, when you start to force the ball a little bit, when you've gone too much. And I feel like he's starting to wear down. And great season for New England, but they've won they'll win this game barely. I think they'll get by. I got 16-13 New England in overtime, but they've won their last game, regardless of who they're seeded against. I don't think they're winning a playoff game this year. That'd be a miracle if Bill could pull it off, but I don't see it. Still a great season for New England. Future's so bright. Bill will never wear shades, but that team will continue to throw shade at the division, I think, after this year, the rest of the way.
You're so right. Bill Belichick won't even wear a hat or a visor. He stands on the sideline in New England, the sunny side, like this, the whole game. You can't see a damn thing. It is definitely one of those seasons that I was surprised by, and in terms of Mac Jones balling out, I'm not really sure that he has ball. I mean, I think he's played well and he's been a good surprise, but I think he was in the right place and he was asked to do exactly what he did at Alabama, which was get the ball to your best players. Don't make mistakes. Don't throw interceptions in the red zone. And you don't have to win it for us. I don't think he was one of the top 5 players on Alabama. He's not one of the top 10 players on the Patriots, I don't think. I mean, I like him. I'm glad we have Mac Jones. I think he's going to be great for the future. I like that he doesn't have to be the guy, because you need to bring in guys who can do that. And we have them. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. And as Mr. Ellis is saying, there isn't that guy that can really stretch the field. They don't have any burn. Kendrick Bourne is their one guy for that, but he just doesn't strike me as a guy who puts fear into the defense. And so Nelson Aguilar was out against Buffalo, and he's been pretty good for them this year. He's made some tough catches, though he hasn't made a ton. Jonnu Smith has been a disappointment. Hunter Henry's been good, but he's not that hard to cover. He's not Gronk. He doesn't hold people off with one arm and catch it with the other. But to that point, he still, has been a great addition. And so having all the guys they picked up have paid off this year. Pretty much everybody that they picked up in the offseason, Jonnu Smith, a bit of an exception, and drafted Barmore on defense, Ramondre Stevenson on offense, they have been solid. And they haven't had great drafts in the past. And so along with Mac Jones, it's really been a great addition. So I agree with Mr. Ellis. I mean, I think they will win this game, although Bill Belichick is 2-6 in his last 8 at Miami, including an embarrassing loss on the last play, the kickoff return for a touchdown. Not a kickoff return, but a multilateral play to get them to win, and ridiculous. But that's why, they got to go on the road in the playoffs, most likely, unless something works out. I don't see Buffalo losing to the Jets. But for me in this one, it's another game where they have an opportunity to blend together as a team, make smart plays, whether they win in overtime, as you said, to 16-13, or they win in regulation. I think it is important that they win this game, though. I want to go into the playoffs winning this game, because Jacksonville's a JV team. And so they should have done what they did to Jacksonville. So let's see what you can do. Can you do it? Can you stretch the defense a little bit? Can you get a screen pass that actually goes for a first down? So there's some things that they need to work on, but Brian Flores, just like BB's other assistants, love to beat him. And so Miami's had some big wins, and he's got them playing well after what looked like a complete mess of a season for them after they won their first game against the Pats. But this is a game the Pats should win. They should have won in week 1. And so this is where they have to take it, and they have to put this one to rest. They've got to win this game. To me, they're going to make the playoff. They're in the playoffs either way, but I'd love to see them win this game to move into the playoff matchup, because they put them in a positive spot. So for me, I'll look at Pats on this one. 27, Fins 20.
Yeah, hopefully you got to just go into the playoff with that high note, come off with a good win, good strong win, especially against a divisional opponent, and especially how Miami in the past, late in the season, have upset the Patriots a couple of times. Like the one time where their running back, like I forgot, it was like a miracle. Like they had Kenyon Drake, yeah, they had Rob Gronkowski out in the field, and he missed he
missed the tackle. They did that because they thought they were going to throw a Hail Mary. And this is where you overthink it as a coach.
Yeah,
Gronk doesn't do that. That's not his play. That's not something he does. He isn't even good at jump balls in the end zone when he's on offense. That's not the play. So anyway, I'm not going to go back to 2018 and critique it, but you are absolutely right. The Miami has had surprising wins against them. And Miami's a tough place to play late in the season. These guys are coming from 25 degrees and 11 inches of snow today. Although, they practice inside the bubble and they practice outside for both of these, but they're going down there to Miami. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. It's just a different situation. It's not like the guys from the, coming up have to play in the snow up in Green Bay or something. But yeah, I think it is a bit of a challenge. The professional athletes and all that aside, I think it's still a bit of a challenge.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting game regardless. But for the next game of the week, we got the Seahawks versus the Cardinals, and Cardinals are coming off a huge win, and this might be Russell Wilson's last game before in Mr. Ellis's hopes he goes to somewhere else, and hopefully he goes to the Steelers. But I don't hope that. I think he goes somewhere else. I don't want him to come to the AFC North. I would no. No, please. But Arizona's also playing for the division. They're also going to compete with Los Angeles for the division, and hopefully, the Seahawks could, possibly play upset to this Cardinals team, because if they're playing against such a big spread, they would obviously they probably just want to like not go out like that. So in Russell Wilson's game, he probably feels the emotions of it, but I'll still take the Cardinals in this one because, I think they're the better team here. But I think it's still going to be kept close from the Seahawks. Give me the Cardinals 24, the Seahawks 21.
Yeah, Kingsbury's turned to like Pillsbury lately, man. They're just a soft team these last couple of weeks. They haven't looked great. And, again, I'm not that surprised because to me, this guy wasn't that successful in college. Like he's going to come to the NFL and be awesome. No, I think he just has a dynamic quarterback. And that was what you've talked about this plenty of times, having watched him play since high school. And I know you've given on our show previously some real detailed commentary about how you saw in this kid, when he was 17, what we're seeing now. And I mean, he is working miracles out there. That offensive line is not that good. Their defense, was full of aging guys, overrated to begin with, like the J.J. Watts of the world, who, were healthy for 3 years in their career, and then made all their sacks against teams that weren't that good. But, they are who they are. And I am picking Seattle to pull the upset in this game. And I think the Cardinals have won their last game. And I think Russell Wilson, last game or not in Seattle, I think he's going to reassure people. He doesn't want to go out a chump here at the end of the season. He's going to go out and ball out and play hard. He's going to try to get the win here. I think he gets it. But I think it's low scoring too. And I think Seattle has a sneaky good run offense that they don't use enough. They did well against us with it. They've done well against other teams I've seen this season with it in their limited games that have played well. But I like 2017. Seattle to pull off the upset here. And again, the Cardinals and Cliff Pillsbury have won their last softy game.
Mr. Ellis waiting for his Cliff Kingsbury and the Watt family Christmas cards next year. They won't be coming, I don't think. He's been crushing those two all year long. So Russell Wilson, I saw yesterday, said he wants to, quote, win another Super Bowl in Seattle, which is what guys say just before they head somewhere else, right? This is exactly how it works, right? I want to win here in Seattle. Probably send him right on the road. I don't know how Pittsburgh would ever get him. I have no idea. They'd have to trade for him, I assume. That would be the only way you'd get him. And I don't really know what you'd have to give for Russell Wilson. It'd be a tough one. I'm not 100% sure I agree with you, Mr. Ellis, because the Cards, they surprised me last week at Dallas. They played hard. They had Dak turning it over. Like he was trying to get all of his turnovers out of the way before the playoffs started. I mean, that ball was popping around everywhere. They were all over Dallas. And so I saw them playing a little bit harder last week than I have seen them, because I do agree they definitely don't seem like a super hard-nosed football team. But what I saw last week, I definitely saw a decent portion of that game, and they were all over them. A lot of big hits, a lot of guys going hard to the ball, a lot of guys trying to strip the ball, and Dak just got punished a few times. And Kyler Murray, he is one exciting player. As interesting little side note, to your point about paying attention to Kyler Murray, that win last week, he improved his record at AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys play, to 8-0 as a starter. That's high school, college, and now the pros. So, I mean, if the Super Bowl, is in AT&T, you don't want Kyler Murray as the quarterback of the team you're playing. And, he's got to lose eventually, I guess, but the kid wins in the state of Texas. So for me, this one, I think the Cardinals, early in the season, we were questioning them, of course, because that's kind of what you do with the Cardinals. You question them because it never seems like they're going to quite make it, even when they made a Super Bowl back in 2015-16 season. But I like this one to be sort of a laser show. I think Russ and Kyler Murray will be chucking it. I'm looking at this one be fairly high scoring. I'm going to go with the Cards at home because I think they want this win. And while Russ does want to win another Super Bowl in Seattle, he's on the road in this one. So I'll go with the home team. 35 Cards, Hawks 28.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see why this might be a high scoring game, you know, with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then Kyler Murray having host weapons as well. I mean, definitely gonna be slinging the ball all over the field and you know, running the ball as well. But for the next game, we got possibly the game of the week. You know, and probably the most like important game for other teams depending on these two teams. We got the Raiders and Chargers in a Sunday night game where both teams are still fighting for their playoff spots. I mean, we're gonna see Justin Herbert and Derek Carr, you know, duel it out, you know, in Las Vegas. So I mean, uh, I honestly think that like this game's gonna be a shooter. I mean, I think both defenses will have to step up. I think, you know, Derwin James on that Charger secondary as well as, you know, Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue on that Raider secondary. They're all gonna have to step up and make big plays if they want this game to tip into their favor. But, you know, I would say the Chargers have to take it here. I mean, I think that like Justin Herbert, he's gonna rally his team. You know, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Eckler. I think you know they will have decently good games. And then I think Carr is also gonna have a really good game. But I think that defense is just gonna let him down. And you know, lack of offensive firepower maybe. But I don't know. I have a strong feeling that the Chargers will pull this one out. But like I said for my previous picks, still going to be a close game since it's divisional. Give me the Chargers 34, Raiders 31.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. Obviously, if the unbelievable miracle were to occur in the afternoon and Indianapolis were to somehow blow a game like could never be blown before, except in '89 when the Steelers got in a similar circumstance, except in 13 when they almost got in a similar circumstance when KC, who was a 17-point underdog, missed a 32-yard field goal by Ryan Suckup, no pun intended, late. But yeah, this looks like a win for the Raiders here. I feel like Derek Carr's just playing more spirited right now. And Justin Herbert's way better quarterback, but the last couple of weeks, this Chargers defense has put him in tough situations. And I also feel like in year two, he's hitting a little bit of a wall here late in the season. I just think Derek Carr just is a survivor all season. He beat the Ravens to open the season. He beat the Steelers in week 2 with an epic toss to Henry Ruggs, RIP, your career Ruggs, down the sideline there, and probably his last impactful play of his career. And just throughout the season, beating Dallas in Dallas on Thanksgiving, which was a great, fun game to be, you know, seeing. And they've just showed up when they had, and everything went on there with Gruden, everything this season. I mean, to me, if I can't get Russ Wilson, Derek Carr would be an okay consolation prize. His toughness is great. He hangs in the pocket. He makes plays downfield. He's smart. He can manage a game, but turnover the ball is a concern. But this Chargers defense stinks. They do. I think the Raiders have a slightly better defensive line. And I got them sneak. You know, Bosa's overrated. I said it. He's real overrated. I like this game going to the Raiders. 26-23. Unless the Colts lose. And if they lose, I like 13-13 OT fixaroo.
I'm definitely rooting for the Colts to lose then, because I gotta watch the fixaroo come in to see how it happened. To watch guys drop passes as they how did that go through my hands in the end?
There is a script out there for everything, buddy.
I agree. Outside of the old fixaroo, let's go with the tunnel vision on the world is a clean and safe and wonderful place. And in this case here, if that's what happens, I'm with you with the Raiders. I think that it has been a year where they have shown perseverance at so many different levels, and you covered all of them, so I won't say them again. But that's huge. I saw today that Darren Waller, he could be back if they make the playoffs, and so that would be a big addition for them. You know, Rashad, when you mentioned all those offensive guys for San Diego, it's scary. You know, the Eckler and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert, obviously, that sounds like a winning formula right there. Yet here they are in a play-in game, basically. So that to me is something where I'm not sure that they're going to have what's in them. And the Raiders have shown a little bit more or a lot more all year long. Just the fact that we're here. I remember at the beginning of the season, I picked against the Raiders every time. And I said, I'm not doing it anymore because the Raiders were surprising everybody. They were winning and winning and winning. And then, of course, they tanked a little bit because they had so many issues that happened. So I have seen them now. I think they're coming back up again. And so for me, I'm with both of you. It's got to be a tight matchup here for the most part. So I see this one as a home team situation once again, and it's going to be tight. Could come down to a field goal at the end, which is the way several games for the Raiders have gone this year. So I like the Raiders 31, Chargers 30.
And don't you feel like either of these teams could do a little bit of damage, possibly, if they
Yeah.
get in? Because AFC, you always have one team that wins a divisional that's not supposed to. It doesn't happen often in the NFC, but it happens a lot in the AFC. A team that's up and coming late, that's kind of healthy too, and finds a way. So I could see either of these teams making a little mini run, like getting the AFC Championship game on the sneak. It could happen.
Yeah, it happens. It certainly does.
Just in time for the smartest guy to boycott the Super Bowl that he's not getting to. So it should be perfect.
He means Super Bowl parties.
For sure.
Only with smart people though. No one else is invited.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looking at the Raiders this year, man, like you guys said, I gotta agree with you guys. Losing your head coach, having one of your a couple of your draft picks get, into some serious trouble and some unfortunate incidents. But you also have a quarterback who's also a leader on that team, and Derek Carr, he's probably like one of the most respected guys in the league. Like even though like many people would think he's like a bad quarterback or like not the guy, like he's like a guy you definitely want to have in your locker room. He can rally a team, and like there's just a bunch of fighters on that team. But I definitely think I would have to agree with you, Mr. Ellis. One of these teams is definitely a dark horse in the playoffs. One of them, whether it be the Raiders or the Chargers, both of these teams, like you said, can do some very good damage to some teams. I won't even see them coming. But for the next and last game that we're covering, we got the 49ers and Rams. Massive game for both teams. With the Rams, if they win here, they can clinch the NFC West over a win with the 49ers, regardless what happens with Arizona. But if the 49ers win, they're guaranteed a playoff berth, so that's pretty good. And I think that like it's just a must-win game for both teams if they want to lock up their playoff spot and make a good prepare themselves for a deep playoff run. But I don't know. I think with the 49ers already beating the Rams once, I think they can have the number again this year. But the Rams, I don't think they're gonna go out like that. I think the Rams will keep it close again. But I think the 49ers, they're gonna sweep the Rams this season. Give me the 49ers 27-24.
Look, make no mistake, John Harbaugh owned Sean McVay in that game last week. Absolutely owned him. The fact that they were in that game that they had no business being in and should have won it, and just says a lot about McVay as a coach. And the fact he was so excited to have won the game afterwards. I mean, look, they're limping to the finish. This Rams team is overrated. The only reason they have as many wins as they do is they play in an absolutely weak conference with so many bad football teams. That's why they have as many wins as they do. And that win against Baltimore was garbage. Lamar plays, they lose by 14, easy, maybe more. So I see them losing this game. They've won their last game of the season, and Sean McVay is the most overrated coach in the history of the league. I got this game going heavy for the Niners, 33-17. Regardless of who is at QB, because I think Shanahan's the much better coach.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree. Shanahan is a much better coach, and
if McVay was ugly, if he was ugly, what would people think of it? I'm just going to throw that out there, right? Because he's good looking, because his wife is the traditional, American hourglass good, right? I mean, what did he do with Washington? Ran the team into the ground in December, 2 years in a row. What was their record with him as the OC the last 2 years? 2-6. He walked into a garbage NFC the year that he went to the Super Bowl. And Bill's like, let's save some guys for next year. We're just going to milk this first half, and then the second half we'll do what we got to do. I mean, that game was they were the most illegit Super Bowl team since the 85. Sorry to say it. Mr. Wood, but maybe since '85,
Since my boy.
or the 2000 Giants. Some of these really bad, Super Bowl representatives. They
Well,
they were not a good
Bears team, that lost to the Colts, right? Peyton Manning.
Oh yeah,
Super Bowl.
that sexy Rexy. Yeah, that team was horrible. Yeah. So
yeah, but somehow we let them stay in that football game, and I don't know why the Patriots ever let them stay in that Super Bowl matchup. And they're actually one great play from Jason McCourty away from allowing them to maybe walk away with it. But I agree with you. We love to anoint the next great, coach, and it's oftentimes a guy like Sean McVay, and I'll take Kyle Shanahan any day. Absolutely. I like what he's done. He seems like a much more likely candidate to get his team back to the Super Bowl. And granted, they're both coaching the same teams that they took there. That being said, I think I'm pretty much a homer this week. I'm going with the home team in most of these matchups. And I do think the Rams need to win this game. I think the Rams need to win this game. And I know the Niners absolutely need to win the game to get into the Super Bowl. But I do worry about Garoppolo. If he's not playing, I don't think they're as good. I think Trey Lance, has the potential to be a great quarterback in the future. And maybe he's even their guy, and Jimmy G's going to be available. But like I said earlier with Daniel Jones, and I think Jimmy G is better than he is, and he's taken a team to the Super Bowl. He's just too fragile. He breaks a lot. Things just happen to him. I don't know if he just puts himself in situations. He's injury like Lamar is sick all the time. We talk about, he's always got some sort of bug or something like that. Although I did see some footage of him limping around. His ankle's definitely messed up, and that's something that he can't play with. I mean, he's too dynamic, and that changes his game entirely. But on this front, I just see what should be a good football game. I mean, these two teams, I think, are going to play hard. The question is, can the Rams answer the intensity that the Niners bring to it? And if they can't, then it's definitely going to go Niners. And like you said, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback. Although the highlights, I didn't see their game last week, but the highlights I watched, Trey Lance he looked overwhelmed. He didn't look like he really knew what he was doing. He got a couple of throws at the end, but against a bad opponent. But that could be enough to help him. And they figure out the offense. They designed it. So, it was very, basic for him. So if the Rams can't match that intensity, it'd definitely be a Niner victory. But if they can, I think, again, we have another close one. I'll take the Rams 28-26 at home because they're playing for seeding. And I think they want to be at home. I think it matters to them because I don't think they'll play well on the road.
I think the only way that the Rams could lose this game is if they shoot themselves in the foot, basically. Like last week, Matt Stafford threw like 2 costly interceptions, right? One was just read beautifully by Chuck Clark for a pick 6. But I think I forgot to mention this, but the 49ers defense can force turnovers, and I most certainly think they can,
Yeah.
They can easily take advantage of this Rams team. And I don't know how this Rams defense allowed this Ravens offense to hang with them if they're supposed to be like that good of a defense, with Ramsey, Donald, and stuff like that.
Ramsey,
yeah.
please, overrated beyond belief.
He was like fighting his teammate like after literally 5 plays into the game. Like if they can the 49ers can cause the Rams to I don't know, go off their course or something, or cause Matthew Stafford to make dumb mistakes. This game is easily the 49ers favor.
But I mean, the Niners are pretty much in, right? So I mean, this game doesn't really matter, I guess, either way. Anyway, it's more kind of like a, I don't know, fact-finding mish or something like that. I don't know, but whatever. I mean, I'm not nearly as excited about watching the NFC playoffs as I am the AFC. I'll tell you that, because I feel like, I'm a fan. Maybe I'm biased, but I'm a fan of physical football. And I just feel like it's more physical in the AFC. I mean, these teams are, the records are not as good because the teams are beating each other up. Whereas there's a wider variance, in the NFC with who stinks and who can play a little bit.
Although, one interesting thing, we didn't talk about the Eagles and the Cowboys because, that game, I guess the Eagles are already in, I think, right? Is that already a done deal? Yeah. So
yes. Would they be in the AFC? Absolutely no way. They'd have 4 wins.
But the thing, they have a defense that plays really physical because I watched that game last week, and so they have an AFC type mentality. They're smash mouth for the most part on defense, especially. They like to, and I got to be honest with you, we didn't get a chance to get into it, but Jalen Hurts pre-railing collapse, and he did a nice job after the railing collapse to stay with those people and check on them and pose for pictures and stuff. he was the best player on the field last week in that Eagles Admirals game. And so for me, it's a situation where, that's an interesting team. As much as I want to, hate on the Eagles because they beat my Patriots in the Super Bowl, Philly special nothing. You're right about that. The NFC is not that interesting. Like I said, they're a sort of an interesting team to me because I like Jalen Hurts and I like the way they play defense.
But they run the ball well too. They run the ball well.
Yeah, including him. I mean, Jalen Hurts runs the ball very well.
But did they run it well against any good teams? They run it well against the AFC team. You know what I
Did
mean?
they play any good teams? Did they play any good?
Again, that's why I just don't even see them as even beginning to be like, let's put it this way. Could they beat the Ravens and the Steelers on neutral field? I'm saying absolutely not. Even though the Steelers can't play run D, we would still beat them. And I think the Ravens would too. I mean, again, I'm throwing hypotheticals, but Nick Sirianni? Tactician. He talks like he's, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's gonna be really interesting to see how this week plays out. I mean,
but 4 of their wins are the Giants and the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the AFC they'd be 4 in the same.
Yeah, no, true. Even in the AFC East, which is better this year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was a cakewalk for years, but I mean it's a different place now.
For sure. But I don't know. This week is going to be really interesting, especially, the NFL is a week-to-week league, man. Anything can happen at any given week. So who knows? This Jaguars team by walking Indianapolis.
Don't even.
Let's put it. Hey, it would be great for the ratings.
It'd be really great.
But that 4 o'clock window would be rather interesting. And I remember being 13 in 1989, middle school. Okay, I remember when we won in the frozen tundra, of Tampa, when it was an ice storm during the game in Tampa in '89, pre-global warming, which has been going on since '89. Believe me. And there it was that day, and the Steelers won in an ice storm. I think it was like 21-zip in Tampa, an ice storm in '89, and then they had to wait out the Sunday night game to get in, only to go to Houston and win. And then go to Denver and almost win and fumble in the fourth quarter like we did in 2015 when we should have beaten Manning, and fumble in the fourth quarter classically and lose.
Who are we talking about?
And Merrill Hodge running for 190 yards.
Merrill Hodge was a beast, number 33.
Love him. Survivor as well, which you give him a lot of credit for. But yeah, no, I mean, look, anything can happen, fellas. But if I'm the Ravens, do I even want to go at this point because I'm such a mash unit? I'm so banged up. Like, do I even want to go at this point? Do I want to risk throwing Lamar out there to lose him for the next season? Really? I mean, look, they did. I give Harbaugh tremendous credit for what he has done with this roster this season. For them to even, if they beat us and get to over 500, man, you better give him some major props for doing that with that lack of roster.
Oh my God, he's got nobody on defense.
None of your starters are on defense, man. None of them.
You never got blown out. Like, I mean, okay, the Bengals game, like I said, that's something that we'll talk about next week. But hey, fellas, it's been fun. It's gonna be a fun weekend, and it was just great to get this in. At least we got to get into predict his team's futility and in mind. So here we go. But good job, fellas.
Good job, guys. Well, that's it for week 18, guys. Appreciate you guys watching us for the entire season. We are more than happy to get ready for the playoffs and, extend our coverage for that. See how everything plays out. It's going to be an interesting playoff, especially for the AFC, because you never know. Like we said, all season, AFC is always up for grabs. And then once these teams are in, it's going to be interesting how teams duke it out. NFC, still going to be interesting as always. But, I think that
I changed my pick though, because you see, I'm in the very spiritual portion of my home where the karma gathers, and I have never put a Ben thing on this wall ever. I've never put a Ben thing on this wall in my life. I did here for his last game. It's fallen down at least 5, almost now 6 times during this broadcast. So can I change my pick?
I think that just means sacks. He's going to be sacked 5 or 6 times. That's all that is.
Ben might just mean Ben might be folding a lot. So we'll see. You're most welcome to come to the Ravens side. We'll always accept you.
I'm worried about my children, but I won't stop them.
Kids will be who they'll be.
I'm worried about exactly, man. I would never be that guy ever.
Mm-mm,
So
mm-mm. Yeah, but that's been it, guys. I've been Rashad, on God, Mr. Woodward, and Mr. Ellis. We thank you guys for watching for the entire 18 weeks of the season. We really appreciate it, and we're more than looking forward to covering the NFL playoffs. So thanks, guys, for
wow.
watching. We'll see you guys later.
Squish the fish, baby.
Go Ravens.